Hey guys, welcome back to the mudstudsskullcaps podcast. I'm Robin.
And I'm Kelsey. And for today's episode, we're going to be sharing how we attempt to balance all the things and stuff we do, such as full-time jobs, enjoying and caring for our horses, our relationships, friends, podcasts, and other things.
Humidity in North Carolina is just killing me with Trin because she sweats so much throughout the day and that I need to be brushing her every day or giving her a bath every day, and her skin is just so bad right now.
Yeah, I'm having the same issue with Addie, not sweat related. She just gets dandruff all over her body. Like, it's not just in her mane and tail, like her whole bottom and neck will get dandruff. I don't understand how or why. Right now her face is all like dry and dandruffy. So I was gone for a couple days, and when I came back, her tail and bottom had exploded in dandruff. And I don't understand. I didn't brush her for 4 days. How is that enough time for her to just explode?
Have you given her a bath with Head and Shoulders at all?
Not yet. I pulled out, is it Microtech? So I used that shampoo on her.
Use the pink one. The pink one does wonders. It's expensive, but it does wonders for Trin when she has her skin issues. I need to go get some more because I'm out of it.
What is the pink one?
I could not tell you. But it's something for bacterial stuff on the skin. And so it's for if your horse has sensitive skin or is having skin issues.
Okay. The one I have is for itchy skin and other skin issues as well. It's maybe not bacteria, maybe it's something else, but it's skin issues. So yeah. I figured that would be a good one. But yeah, so I had to scrub her face and her bottom yesterday, just trying to get it under control. I don't understand.
Is it just her back half, or is it just all over her, her mane and everything?
She also gets it on her neck and her mane get it as well. So it's not just isn't just stop at her mane. It goes down into her neck as well. And I don't know if it's just dry skin. I mean, she gets a great diet, so it's not diet related. I do also spray on a coat conditioner, so I don't know. I do all the things and the stuff, and I don't understand why we're still here. And I only try to bathe. I only believe in bathing twice a year, but I live in a totally different climate than you do.
Yes, I bathe a lot more frequently, twice to 3 times a week.
Yeah, no, we can get away with twice a year. I try to do it after blankets come off and before blankets go on. That's my bathing time period because they get real nasty under blankets. That is so disgusting, horse blankets in the bottom of them.
Every time I bathe my horse, I hose her off a lot more frequently than actually giving baths and using soaps. So actually bathing, maybe only do once a week. Other times I do just rinsing her off, but making sure, I'm actually ensuring that all the gunk is off her body.
Getting all that salt off.
She sweats so much. I cannot believe how Fletch, so the miniature pony who was born here in North Carolina, he has so much thicker of a coat than Trin, doesn't sweat hardly any, and yet Trin is over here with her thin coat and is just drenched. And I feel so bad because every day I come home and I have to just curry her and brush her all up and get as much off as I can, but she's going bald, where she sweats a lot, those areas, she's losing her hair.
Interesting. I wonder, I know she's lived in a lot of different climates, and so she's not used to, she's probably prefers Washington because that's where she was born. But I know as horses age, Cushing's really messes with their ability to thermoregulate. That's a huge thing. She might want some misters and a fan and all the fancy things to keep her cool.
She'll need to be spoiled more than she already is. I know.
Anything else you wanted to share from your week before we jump into this episode?
Not really. I guess it kind of relates to our episode talking work-life balance and stuff. I'm just frustrated because, I only have so much time in the evenings when I come home from work to brush her that I don't always have time to hose her off and give her what she needs. And that makes me feel guilty and bad. And now, with her skin problems added to it, it's just ugh.
That is a wonderful transition into our topic today.
Thank you. You're welcome.
How do we squish everything into our 24 hours, especially if you are someone who like you, has a very time demanding job. Mine is, I at least have an office job with like structured hours, but I still have really long days.
Yeah.
Probably not as long as your days. Mine are only like 9.5-hour days.
I mean, it's all relevant to each person. You have way more horses to take care of than I do. So like it evens out on its own.
That's true. Yes, I do have a whole herd of horses to take care of.
You do. I don't even know how do you figure it out? How do you manage those? That was weird to say. How do you manage those horses?
How do I manage my horses? It's a lot of, like getting stuff done quickly after work.
Yeah.
Trying to set yourself up in the morning so that coming back in the evening isn't so hard. I think like one of the big mistakes that I have made personally when I think of balance, right? Because you think of work-life balance, you often think that you're trying to like, you have a scale and you're trying to equal everything out. If I put this much time into my job, I need to put an equal amount of time into horses or into my hobbies or my friendships. And the truth is, it doesn't work like that. Nope. There is no such thing as equal, and every week and every day is going to look entirely different. So you have to figure out like what is important that day, what is important that week, and how do I go about getting those things done? And that's where the balance comes from. And some weeks that's going to be all work, and some weeks that's going to be all horses. It's never this, there's no balance, there's no equal. It is just what is important today. That's what I'm going to focus on.
Well, okay, I know a typical day. I know days change and that not every day looks the same and stuff, but do you have a typical day? Do you have a certain time you wake up every morning? I know most people do. I do.
Okay, so this is going to be a callback because I haven't had a normal day since March.
Oh, that's right. Corona, I forgot about that.
Yes, we're still in a pandemic. My kitchen table is my office right now. My boss recently said it's still going to be a while before we come back to the office. So I am really enjoying working from home. It's great. I don't have to feed, it's much better for my horses, right? Because they get attention throughout the day. I think they know they're not alone. They know I'm here. Well, they stand out at the arena and scream, oh, it's lunchtime. And I know they don't do that when I'm not here. They got me. And the other thing they got with me is, I used to be very opposed to having set feed times. I was always you've got a 3-hour window that you get fed in, deal with it. And that helped them become less stressful and less anxious about dinner and meal times, because there would be days where I get home late and dinner's 2 hours late or whatever. But now we are on a rigid schedule because I'm home 24/7 and they are holding me to that schedule. They will let me know if I'm 5 minutes late, and it's oh, you guys are going to get a rude awakening when I go back to work. And that's not how this works. You could get fed whenever.
Oh, poor ponies.
They're fine. They're fat and they're happy, so they're fine. So my normal pre-coronavirus schedule was that I was usually up around 4:35 because it takes me a couple hours. I'm not I don't move extremely fast in the morning. And I had 3 or 4 horses at home. I need to get them fed. Not only do I need to get them fed breakfast, they need to get lunch. I need to make sure everyone has water for the day.
Yeah.
Just kind of going through your normal checklist. I typically would clean a little bit. My mare has a stall, and so I would clean and get her stall ready for the day so that she wouldn't sleep in her poop. Stuff like that. And then I'm usually out of the house a little after 6 in the morning. And then I work from 7:30 to 5. And then I would drive home. And my commute is about an hour and a half in the mornings and an hour in the evening. Even though I work, it's really 30 minutes down the road. But with traffic, it turns out to be an hour. It's silly. So I wouldn't be getting back to the barn. So I have a horse, at least one horse at the barn, sometimes 2, that needs to be fed. And when my mare was at the barn, she would need her stall cleaned. She would need some type of exercise because she got locked up for a year, which is, I'm glad she's no longer at the barn. That was a really interesting experience for her. I learned a lot about her, and we now know that she can't be in pasture and she can't be in a stall. So she's at home.
Perfect combination.
Yes, she can't do either. But when she was at the barn, I needed to get her out because she'd been locked up all day. Needed to get her moving, whether that was a ride or just getting her lunged. And then, so that takes an hour and a half, 2 hours if I'm riding. And then I got home And I would usually be getting home 7, 8 o'clock to clean and feed the horses at home. And then I would eat something in my fridge and go to bed. And honestly, it probably never came from the fridge. It probably was always like crackers and chips, junk food, and go to bed and start it all over again.
I had someone laughing at me the other day. They like asked me what I was eating for lunch, and I just pulled out, like, I had grapes and a cheese stick, and they were joking that it was like vending machine food and that my horses eat so much better than I do. And I was like, yeah, man, I know exactly down to like the fat percentages, fiber percentages, and all their food, how much like poundage wise they're getting per meal. Could not tell you what I'm eating.
Yes, which I personally have started to like go the opposite direction, and this is a different conversation, but like we need to start treating ourselves as good as we treat our horses, because our horses should not deal with our shitty selves. Like, it's not fair to our horses, but that's a whole nother conversation, that it's not their burden to deal with our lamenesses and our like issues.
Yeah.
If we're not gonna like, yeah. So what is your typical day? And I know your typical day changes, but what is it?
Mine changes, but it's actually pretty similar to yours, honestly. I thought I might have longer hours than you, but I think we're relatively the same.
Okay.
I wake up around 4 a.m. I go out. I have to feed horses. And now, because Fletch, the little miniature, is a bully, he'll bully Trin off of her food, I have to stand there and watch and keep the peace between them, defend her grain. And that takes me probably like 30 minutes to do. And then I have to come back inside, quickly get dressed, take care of my dogs. And I'm generally out of the house by 5:30, 5:20. And then I have about an hour and a half commute. It really depends on how people are driving that day. And then I get to work around 6:30, 7. No, 7. I get to work around 7. Typically, I'll get off work around 6. So it's almost like a 12-hour workday that I do, which isn't that abnormal. I mean, it's a little abnormal, but a lot of other people have same like hours, similar stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I'll get off work around probably like 6, get home around 7:30, 8 maybe, and then I have to feed horses. And I just like, while they're eating, I'll brush them. But other than that, I don't have much time. Probably be in the house taking care of the dogs around 9. And then I grab pretty much snacks and go to bed. But like during the week, I have pretty much no time for my horses, which sucks.
Yes, it does suck, and it's really challenging. I think I definitely have a little bit more time than you do, but then, we also have like winter.
Yes.
And everything's dark, and I don't have a barn, so there's a lot of struggles to trying to work and trying to have horses. And I don't know if like keeping them at home versus keeping them at a barn, like which one do you feel like has more time? Because you've done both now. Do you feel like you have more time at the barn or more time at the house?
I feel as though I have more time at the house, and I personally really prefer having them at home, because like we literally just went through a whole days explaining how we have such little time with them, that when I was keeping her at the barn, is I would find certain days, if it was a full care situation, I might not go out because I just didn't have the hours that day. And then the only time I would see her was when I went out to ride, and that just felt so unfair. And so I really do like having my horses home, that I see them every morning and night for feeding. I get to brush them, and that even if I'm not riding, because honestly, riding could take the back burner. I want to keep like my relationship strong with my horses, and it's not fair that every time they see me, all I'm doing is working them.
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed to that statement. Boarding is nice because you often are just there to focus on your horse, and you're not there to like fix the fence. And like if a tree falls on the fence, it's not your problem. Like, you know what I mean? You don't have all these other things to add on to your plate and your list. But at the same time, I felt like you have a very different relationship with your horse. And my mare, when she was at the barn, she was like self-care, but they fed her and took care of her during the day. And then I showed up to clean her stall. And I just know that like she's a horse that you have to have a relationship with if you want, like, she needs to know you. She needs you to feed her, clean up after her, and do all those things. And then she'll like you. You can't just like show up to work her, because that doesn't work for her.
I would say the same goes for Trin, and I'm not sure if it's just our horses.
It could be mares. It could be mares.
Or it's just horses in general. Like, I think it's just their nature.
Yeah.
They want to have more of a relationship than merely being worked. Yeah, horses like having a job and they want to do something, but they don't want that to be their only interactions. They like attention. They like building that relationship. It's not, just a one-sided thing.
Yeah, agreed. So do you kind of want to like just go through what our different styles are for when we are are dealing with our life. So we've kind of started touching on our horse style, but I definitely, and I think you would agree, I am a weekend warrior, and I'm sure you are as well. It means that I don't do a ton during the week with my horses, but it does mean that like on the weekends, I try to commit as much time to just them as I can. And I'm someone who really likes that quality time. So I like, it may take me 5 hours to clean and to ride and to get them lunch because I don't like feeling rushed when I'm with them. I want to just take the time with my horses. I want to like pet them. It might take me an hour to do a 10-minute like paddock clean because I'm like just scratching them and playing with them. And that's really important to me. So during the week, a lot of time, I do get home a little bit earlier than you. And so I will pick one day a week. Like each day for the week, I dedicate to one horse. That one horse, especially during the summer, I can do it. It gets a little bit harder in the winter when it's dark early.
Yeah.
But right now, I'll take one horse and they'll get groomed and they'll get, they'll do their stretches and their yoga. And for Addie, she gets whatever part of her is sore that day soaked. Yesterday, it was her knee. I went to go ride her yesterday and her knee was swollen. Like, Mare,
Oh my gosh.
So yesterday we groomed and we soaked, we iced the knee, did all those things. And then I might lunge if I have enough time, but I never want to like feel rushed during a ride because I hate that. I hate that feeling of being rushed and I only have so much time to ride.
Yes.
Because then you like you don't get to your ride ever. You're like, you waste your ride trying not to have an argument and trying not to dig into an issue because you don't have the time to fix anything. So it's very like a surface level ride, if that makes sense, where you're just like, we're going to trot a little, we're going to go both directions. Oh, time's up. Like I don't know, it just feels wasted and I'd rather just brush my horse.
Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of where I'm at a lot of times with being so busy during the week is that it's not worth trying to fit a ride in there. It's not worth it to be rushed and only have a certain number of hours than to be, rushing through cleaning, rushing through feeding. It's just not fun. It's not enjoyable. And so I'm kind of the mind is that even when I get to the weekends, I feel bad that, I've been able to only give them limited attention throughout the days of the week, that now when I can give them more attention, my only interaction is to ride them. Like that makes me feel so guilty. So most of the time, right now especially, is I'm not riding as much as I should be. Or not necessarily as you should be. I don't think there's a set number of rides you need to be doing, but I'm not riding as often as I would like. But I think it's appropriate for maintaining a good relationship with my horse and, making sure that she doesn't just feel like a used piece of object, that she has value. She's not just here to be ridden. She's here to, be my pony.
Yeah. No, I get that. So yeah, right now Addie now is only can be ridden once a week if she's feeling good. That's the vet's recommendation, is that once a week is enough. But I haven't actually gotten to ride her because she keeps coming up lame with having bunches of excuses. And the last couple of times I got to ride her, she was still lame at the trot. So like, she's just a pretty pasture pony. And then my other horse just blew 2 giant abscesses out his feet. I don't know how this horse does it. Nim is great at holding those abscesses. Like, you'd only know about them once he blows them out and you've got like this huge hole and you're like, sir, excuse me.
He has such soft soles.
Yes, he has very soft soles and they just blew out of his frogs. So he's had some time off recently, but normally Nim gets ridden once a week and Addie was getting ridden like 3 or 4 times a week. But I would, that would all happen on the weekend and I actually get Fridays, every other Friday off, which is helpful. When things were like I was working regularly and all my horses were like thought to be sound, I was riding Addie usually about like 3 times a week. So that would usually be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then sometimes, especially in the summer, I could throw in an extra ride when there was extra light after work and get maybe 4 rides. And then Nim would be 1 ride a week for him because he's a different horse and I wasn't trying to get anywhere with him.
Yeah.
So one of the tricks I use though for the week is I tend to set up activities and leave them up for a week or 2. So in my arena, I'll set up trot poles and we'll do trot poles. Everyone will do trot poles for that week, and then maybe we'll do trot pulls the second week as well, and then I clean them up so I don't have to set up before my ride. So I like drag out everything into my arena. And my horses, yes, they play with this stuff, and I use stuff that I don't care if they play with. I also do like obstacle courses a lot of times because Nim isn't really like Nim just needs stuff to do and just like keep their brains active. So I actually do a lot of obstacle courses with my horses, which I know is something you probably haven't done since you were in like, you know, your first couple years of riding lessons. But I really enjoy them because it's something totally different, and they get to, I don't know, your goal is a little bit different. I don't know. I enjoy doing obstacle courses with my horses, and it's something that we can do on the ground as well as being ridden.
When I'm riding and doing stuff, like, so on the weekends whenever I ride, or if I get a ride in during the week, I don't do what you do. If I need to set stuff up, I'll save that ride for a day when I know I have more time. I prescribe to the idea of like, I get bored very easily. I have a very short attention span. And so I do the never have the same ride twice. So if I ride her in the arena one day, the next day we'll be doing a trail ride, or we'll be out riding down the road. So one day if we have flat, then the next day we'll be doing pole work, gallop sets, something of that nature, because I can't stand having the same ride twice. Like I can't stand having back-to-back flat rides.
Interesting. I can only do flat with my horses, so I am like more okay with that, I suppose. Like I've accepted that. And I do like, we might have the same trot pull set up for like 2 days, and then we'll change it. So we do mix it up but I mean, they're not complex trot pull patterns. They're usually pretty easy, pretty simple. And then like the obstacle course is usually we'll have like a bridge, we'll have things to back up through, trot poles, barrels to turn around, and you can mix that up constantly. Just work on half of it, work on the other half. So I love doing the obstacle course piece because it is a totally different type of ride.
No, it's very interesting, and I'm sure it's very effective, and it keeps you guys entertained and everything. And that like if you don't have as much time, at least you have this obstacle course set up that you can work your way through, and that it's presenting its own challenges and working different things that you don't have to do it the same way every time.
Yeah, exactly. And then I only ride for about 30 minutes. I hate riding for an hour. I get bored, and so I would actually rather do 2 30-minute rides than 1 full hour ride because I'm bored, and I find that like after that half an hour, sometimes 40-minute mark, unless I'm on a trail ride, I often find that I'm like kind of struggling for like, what else do we do? How do we keep pushing? Because I'm someone who I like to get in, get the job done, and like give my horse a big reward.
Yeah.
And I find sometimes that I'm just like, if you ride for too long often, I feel like you're just dragging it on. Like the horse already did what you asked. The horse already like accomplished this thing. Like stop hounding them and just walk on a long rein.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also with me, especially with not being able to ride as frequently, you know, shorter rides, I spent a lot more time focusing on our warm-up and that not rushing through the warm-up. I have no need, it's not a high-speed race to see how fast I can get her to working and how long we can work for. I want to have a good ride. I want to have a quality ride. And so we focus a long time on that warm-up, just developing our connection and communication, and then we do our ride, and then we have a nice long cool out.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like, so for Addie, a lot of hers is, and Nim, we spend so much of that first period just like relaxation and suppleness. Once you have those two things, then we'll ride around, you know, in a frame to get for a little bit, go through some of the motions, but that, you know, going through the motions honestly takes about 10 minutes. And because I'm not trying to push them through, when I was riding Dublin, rides would be about 40 minutes because I knew that like he's still building that muscle and I can't overwork that muscle. He's a horse that it takes a really long time. And so even though we were trying to move up in the levels, it was only like we only have about 10 minutes to get really good solid work out of him, and then he's going to start to lose it. So use that time, you know, consciously. Be aware that you don't have hours and hours of strong, powerful horse behind you. And how are you going to get there, you know, how are you going to get there effectively?
No, it makes sense. I 100% agree.
So my last thing when it comes to being a weekend warrior is I am a fair weather rider and a good mood rider. So if either me or my horse is grumpy, we don't ride. My rides are valuable. They're important to me. And I'm not going to waste a ride being miserable. Like if I'm in a bad mood, if my whole day has gone wrong, I may get on and just bareback walk. Like that's it. Because I don't want to waste that ride. These are important, and I'm not going to waste a ride struggling when I don't have to.
I don't know if I can relate to that. Actually, no. If it's really hot and humid, especially here in North Carolina, if it's too hot, you only have so many hours in the day you can ride, just early morning or late at night. I won't ride if it's way too hot. I love riding when it's super windy or stormy. I love riding in the rain, and Trin actually does really well in that weather too. I think we both enjoy riding in weird weather.
Dublin does really good in bad weather. Addie and Nim do not. So that's also part of it. My horses are miserable when it rains, despite the fact that I live in Washington. They're miserable when it rains. They both get stiff and they tuck up their heads and their butts, and they don't want to turn into it's just not worth it.
That's different though.
Because I only have an outdoor arena. Yeah. But Dublin, on the other hand, you could ride that horse in a hurricane and be fine. So yeah, I think it definitely depends on your horse. If you've got a horse that, is a mutta, then go for it. But if your horse ain't a mutta, then why bother?
They don't got 4-hoof drive. It ain't worth it.
And I ain't worth it. So that is sort of how we try to get through riding our horses, and a little bit about how we plan our horsey weeks. But we also have other parts of our life that we have to balance, such as relationships.
Yes.
Do you want to start? We're both in serious, committed relationships, which I think actually helps a little bit. Makes it a little bit easier.
Well, because we're in this committed relationships, so we don't have to do the whole dedicating special. I mean, we have to dedicate time to our significant others, but we don't have to make time to go on dates and to still impress them. They're stuck with us for now.
Well, they are definitely stuck with us. And in our case, they both live with us. We both get to live with our significant other, which definitely, I think, helps. Because when it comes to my relationship, I would rather hang out with him more than, I would rather have, 30 minutes every day with him, watching TV and just, talking, versus one day a week where I get to see him and we hang out all day.
I guess I have kind of, what would you say, a different situation than a lot of people out there, I'm guessing. Actually, I'm sure a lot can relate as well.
I bet there's a lot that can relate to you, because he's not the only one in the military.
Are we sure? I feel like he's the only one.
It's just him.
So Sean, my boyfriend, we've been together for 7 years. He is in the Army, and he is currently on his second deployment, which means we don't see each other at all, man. We're out of touch for quite a few months. I mean, we can text and call, but we don't get to see each other at all because he's in a different country.
Yeah. How long have you guys been together for?
7 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. It's weird to think we've been together so long. It makes balancing things so much easier, and that he's gotten so used to when he is here, when he is home. He knows that I have my time that I go out and spend with the horses. Is that he's just, before when I had the horses out at the barn, I felt bad dragging him along to the barn with me. But that was the only time we got to spend time together sometimes, was come out to the barn with me and watch me feed a horse.
I do that with mine all the time. I'm like, come on, we're going to go feed the old man. We're going to go feed the retired horses.
I know, and they have no interest in it. They're can't. It's like watching golf for them.
But so I think we both have guys that are they totally accept the horses, and they are not jealous, because I know that can be an issue with some relationships where the guy maybe doesn't understand why you spend so much time at the barn or why you're giving so much attention to the horse. And in our case, that's not a problem. But if that is a problem in your relationship, that may not be the relationship for you.
No. If someone has a hard time accepting that you have horses, and that I found it's a really hard time trying to explain to people and friends and friendships that I have a horse show this weekend, or I can't necessarily come out tonight because I have to go feed my horses. I have to care for them. I can't just go out for a night and come back later the next day, because I have to feed my animals. I have to take care of them. And sometimes friends, relationships, they haven't always been understanding of that.
So this is a pitch off topic. We were listening to a murder podcast the other day, and it was about this girl who owned 13 horses. She had a huge farm, and after she didn't show up for a week to feed her horses, people were like, I think she's missing. I think something happened. And I just want to throw it out there. If my horses they've missed a meal, I am dead. Like, if nobody knows where I am and my horses have missed a meal, I am dead. Please call the police. Like, don't wait a week.
But, like, that is one of my biggest concerns, is that I'm going to get in a car accident or die or something, or someone's going to kidnap me, and no one will know that my animals need to be taken care of. Like, no one will know to feed them. I don't care about me. Just feed my dang animals. Make sure they're happy and still good.
Like, I think people have this misconception that, like, all horses live in a pasture and they're totally fine because they can eat the grass for days and days. And, well, some of my horses, that's the truth. They do live in a pasture and are totally fine. My horses at home live in a paddock. Like, they need feed every, 4 hours or they'll...
No, that's terrifying. It scares me. I'm like, oh, gosh.
So Ben and I have been together for 3 years. So I was working full-time and trying to date for a while. So I do remember what it's like. And it really sucks because you are having to, give up horse time in order to go on a date and to, get out there. But that's something, if this relationship is important to you or having a relationship is important to you, that is a sacrifice that then you're going to make. And that day or that week is going to be more, friends and date oriented than it is going to be horse oriented. But that's a decision that you make, right, throughout that week, throughout your time. Do I want a relationship? Do I want to meet people? Do I want to date? Or do I just want to hang out at home with the horses?
Probably save it for another episode, because there's so much to talk about, especially with relationships and how to balance them with horses. But how you breach the subject within your relationship of bringing them out to the barn. Do they even want to come to the barn? How do I tell them that I'm going to go ride my horse and they want to come with, but how do I tell them it's not that interesting? I'm not going to fall off. Well, I might, but it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah, there's no cool tricks. We're just riding around essentially in circles. They can't tell that we're doing movements and, well, that was a great diagonal. Loved the serpentine.
They have no idea.
Right? Yeah, they have no idea. Thankfully, Ben does not want to watch me ride.
That's good.
I do have to force him to come and video me. I think with time, he will become a great horse show boyfriend, and I'm really excited for that part of our life because he loves hauling. He's very excited to go to shows with me and to set up a little campsite and do all of that kind of stuff. He's very excited for, and I'm thinking he'll like cross country, but
great resource to me is that Sean loves to drive the truck and trailer, and even better, he's great at backing, and he wants to be the one to back it up. And if I have to back it up, I can, but man, should there be a lot of, give me a good, space of grace for that backing up maneuver that I have to do. But he's great at it, and so it's very nice when he wants to go to shows with me because I'm it's amazing. It takes so much stress off.
This should be, if you guys are on Tinder or Bumble or wherever you're, looking for guys, you right in there can back up horse trailer. It's an important skill because Ben is the same. He used to drive, well, he owns a boat. So he's very good at, driving a boat around and getting that backed in. And he's learning. He's pretty good at hauling horses. He's done it a couple of times now. He's learning about, the taking corners and stopping slowly. He's learning all of that stuff. But yes, he can back it up anywhere. And I really, really appreciate that because we have a not very big driveway.
No, the driveway home and the trailer shed to park in at home, narrow as all could be.
Definitely, if you are in a relationship, I don't have a ton of relationship advice. This is my first ever, relationship that lasted more than 2 months. I'm really proud of myself. I had, a really hard time getting over the 2-month hump for a while, so... I'm really proud of my 3 years right now. But you definitely want someone who is, okay with the horses, and it's not an issue because they're expensive. And I think that's where, the biggest issues come is that it's a lot of money. And I get it. Ben is looking at, I'm taking care of 4 horses, and not a single one can I ride. I could kind of ride, but, I have retired, semi-retired, and a yearling. It's a lot of money for not getting to do anything. So you want someone who's comfortable with that and understands that, these horses aren't going anywhere. You are much more replaceable than they are.
I've had a struggle with Sean is trying to explain because he's like, well, why do the horses have to eat like kings and queens? Why do you have to buy them such expensive hay? You could buy the coastal stuff for a lot cheaper. I'm like, yes, but it doesn't have the same nutrition value and the quality. It's hard sometimes to explain that stuff and why you're spending so much money. But at the end of the day, if you're the one paying for it and providing for it, it's your decision. If someone is sitting there actively complaining about you spending time with your horses or spending money on your horses or wanting to invest and go to a show or something, that's a very telling sign. And maybe, it's something you guys got to talk about and figure out.
Yeah, and I think it comes a lot of times from their own insecurity. And if you are able to pay for the horse yourself, if you're able to, balance the time, give your horse the time they need, go to the shows, like do all of that, there's no reason you should feel guilty or try to change.
No.
Unless this relationship is that important to you. But come on, horses are way more important. Everyone has their own style. And so like our style may not be your style. And I highly, highly encourage you to figure out what is your style when it comes to relationships and spending time with someone. What is your style when it comes to your horse and spending time with your horse? And not try to duplicate what someone else is doing, because what someone else is doing may not work for you. It may not be like, I am not a morning person. I wake up early, but I'm not really a morning person. So I know that like, a lot of things, unless it's a schedule, like sit down at my computer, I'm not going to make it. Like I'm not going to get up at the crack of dawn to ride my horse. You can do that, but I can't. So don't try to duplicate what someone else is doing if you know it doesn't work for you, if it's not your style. And I think with all things life balance, work balance, you have to just figure out what works for you and what, you're comfortable doing.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, is a lot of times when we're trying to create this work-life balance, work-life relationship balance, is you try to make it all equal and even. And it's not going to be, because you're always going to be spending more time at work and wanting to spend more time at the barn. And now you have a relationship on top of it that you have to figure out, prioritize it. What is stressing you out? What is making you anxious, nervous? And then figure out, how to solve that issue. Figure out, are you wanting to spend more time with your horses and you just can't figure it out? Then, come up with a plan that the next week you can spend more time with your horses and less time on other things.
So the last sort of section that I have for balance is work. So my style when it comes to balancing work, and I'm going to kind of throw office-related activities together, because I'm going to throw like the podcast into this work.
Okay.
And stuff that like isn't necessarily outdoors with the horses or relationship building. It's something I'm doing in my office because I have an office job. I have, working on the podcast. There's a lot of effort that actually goes into this. And then we have other side projects and things that we're interested in doing. But my big thing with it is time blocking. So I am definitely someone, when it is 5 p.m., I close my work computer and I am done. Like I need to now move on to the next thing and go to my horses and try to keep everything separate. There are days when that doesn't happen. I'm waiting for this email to send, or I'm waiting for a response. But I am someone, like, if I'm going to get any time to myself, any time to go do my horses, then 5 p.m. I need to be shut down, walking out the office door, getting in my car. I used to bring my riding clothes to work and change in the bathroom at work, so that when I got to the barn, I was ready to go and didn't have to waste any time at the barn. And also the work bathroom was a lot cleaner than the barn bathroom for changing. I'm just saying, it's just the floor was a lot cleaner.
So much dirt on those floors that you're standing on your shoes while trying to change your pants and everything.
Right. And that you inevitably get hair and sticks and shavings in your pants. I don't know where it came from, besides the floor. And then you're uncomfortable. So yeah, just change at work. Just do it at work. People won't look at you that weird, I promise. Most of my coworkers go to the gym after work anyway, so everyone's changing, and my gym clothes look a little different.
It's true. You do have to get over the hump, though, of people giving you weird looks when you're in your riding clothes. People that you know. I don't mind if strangers see me in my riding clothes, but people that I know seeing me in my riding clothes, it's weird. It makes me uncomfortable, and I don't know why. Because, if you saw someone in football gear or baseball or whatever other sports there are, you don't look at them weird, but
Okay, I would be a little confused if I saw one of my coworkers walking out of the office in full football gear with their pads on and their jersey and their helmet. I'd be a little concerned. I'd just, you're gonna drive like that? I'd be a little confused. But my riding pants look just like yoga pants. I only get comments when I wear my pink riding pants. That's the only time I get comments. But that's fair. They are pink.
That's true. I'll give them that one.
But yeah, so when it comes to office stuff, I definitely try to cut myself off at certain times. I'm not great at time blocking throughout the day, so I can't really give you a ton of advice for how to be more productive while in the office. But I do try to I start right now when I'm at home. I've been getting up actually early, and for me, I do better if I can fit things in either in the morning or in the end of the day. Mm-hmm. I cannot work out at the end of the day. I can only work out in the morning because by the time it's the end of the day, I'm done. but I can stack more office things, more of our projects and like podcast work and stuff at the end or beginning of the day, because I don't want my weekends to get consumed with things. So I try to fit as much as I can during the week. I've got a few extra hours in the week. I want to use those. So things like going grocery shopping after work versus going during the weekend, because I want to leave my weekends for horses.
Interesting. I'm trying to think about how I time block things, and I guess I don't at all. I'm just like, I'm in one place, now I'm in another, and now I'm doing something else. Well, let's go over here and do this now. Like, I have terrible organizational skills.
And I mean, everyone has a different organization style too. So what works for one person is not going to work for another person. Some people are great at like keeping stuff on the computer, and other people need to write it all down. I keep a lot of lists. I have lists on lists on lists.
I blame mom for the lists I have to make. I make so many lists every day for myself.
Yes. I've got like my phone notes are full of lists of things I need to do, things I need to get, projects. Like we've got a whiteboard on the wall in our kitchen that has lists. So yes, we use a lot of lists in our house to get things done. But that's my most kind of work strategy, is that I just time block and I try not to let it like bleed into other things. I do a lot of like stuff in the mornings, especially on weekends. And I try to like cut that off as early as possible so I can get outside. Usually our mornings are really cold and wet, so that like kind of works to my advantage, and then the afternoon gets nicer. So I use the crappy weather part of the day to do inside stuff, and then the good part to go outside.
That's smart. Very strategic.
Yes. And it makes me feel less guilty. Like if it's raining outside and I'm like working on something, I don't feel guilty at all. Like yesterday, it poured rain most of the day, and then there'd be moments of sunshine, and then it would go away for pouring rain again. So I spent all day cleaning the house. I was like, I don't feel guilty. I also own a house, and I have horses at my house, so there's a lot of projects you have to do to like keep the horses essentially from escaping, or the house. Like one of my biggest fears is that my house is just gonna rot away. Like it's just gonna disappear on me. Like if I don't clean my house good enough, I am afraid like the stairs will just rot. Like I know that's insane. They're just gonna get dirty, but like I am afraid that my house will rot. So and just crumble on me.
You're just afraid the house is gonna rot.
So things you have nightmares about when you're a homeowner. But so I spend a lot of time like doing projects and having to keep those sort of things going. So we've got a lot of lists.
Oh my God, I forgot to tell you. Still on topic with things is that, especially for me, that I'm not allowed to really have my phone on me at work at all, that it makes it really hard to make phone calls throughout the week for, say, getting things fixed. Like the other day, my well pump was blown up by lightning. That took a lot to get fixed because I like couldn't call people during the week to have anyone come out, so all the work had to be done on the weekend. And now my propane tank fell over.
How does that happen?
It just tumbled to its side, and I had to call AmeriGas and be like, hey guys, can you come out and fix this pronto? And the guy came out, and he didn't want to get his truck stuck, so he didn't set it back up right last weekend when he came out. He just said, oh, it's not leaking, you're fine, and left. And I was like, whoa, time out, buddy. The propane tank's still inside, man. And so trying to get that fixed right now during the week when I can't make phone calls is very challenging.
Interesting. That is a strange problem. I've never...
Right?
Wait, is it like one of the horse-shaped ones, or is it like a standing up one?
It's like a horse shape. Like it's the little log.
What you're saying is it's rideable, because we used to ride our propane tank all the time.
It's a horse-shaped one.
Okay, it's horse-shaped. Yeah. With the like little handle.
100% handle for vaulting on and everything. We did used to ride our propane tank. Having your own place, owning your own property, is all these issues crop up, and now the time that like you dedicated to spending with your horse or doing other things, now you have to get this fixed, or you have to spend the money on this thing that you had set aside for something else completely different.
So if you guys don't want to keep your horses at home, just rent for the rest of your life, because it will save you so much time. So something I've definitely noticed, and maybe it's because I'm getting older, is that I can do a lot of days in a row where I'm going, doing chores, riding, doing work stuff, going to town, running errands. But then there are going to be days where like I am just tired. I can't do it. And it's like I can get out of bed, I can get dressed, but I'm just like too tired to do anything. And I have found that like if I try to push myself through those days, I end up like miserable, and I end up more tired the next day. And that like it is okay to take a day and like watch movies all day. Like it's fine to not feel the pressure to do anything. Now, if this is something that's happening frequently, that may be like depression or maybe a different issue. But like if it happens, once a month or whatever, like just embrace it. Give yourself that day to just relax and not feel the pressure to get everything squeezed in, because I think it's so much better for your mental health if you feel like you can take a breath. And so I try on my Sundays. My Sundays are like unscheduled. And so like whatever happens on Sundays happens on Sundays. Like I still get stuff done. I'm still usually working. But if I don't get anything done, it's okay because I had nothing planned on that day.
No, I 100% agree with that. Is that sometimes you have to embrace just hanging out inside that day. And it's okay to not want to ride that day. You don't always have to want to ride. It's okay if you don't want to. You just want to maybe go out and brush your horse. That's fine. That's like, I don't know why we always have the mentality of you have to ride. If you're not riding, you're a bad horse owner, or you're not motivated enough. You don't want it enough. But like, you don't have to. You could just chill at home for a day if you need to. It's fine. It's okay. Some of us aren't motivated 100% of the time. In fact, I know I'm motivated maybe 30% of the time.
You don't have to ride every single day. You don't have to ride 6 days a week. You need to just figure out what works for you and your horse. And I mean, if you are someone who is showing and your horse has certain fitness and conditioning goals, there is obviously a certain schedule you have to stick to, but you don't want to overdo it either. You want to make sure that both you and your horse are enjoying what you're doing. And if no one's enjoying it, then why are you doing it?
100% could not agree more.
No, I think that's the secret right there, is you just have to make sure you're enjoying whatever you are doing. And that's the balance. That's the key to balance, is enjoyment.
Oh my gosh, we answered life's long question. Life's long question? The long question.
The long life.
We answered the question to life. It's called happiness.
Happiness. Yes. Just be happy, yo.
Just be happy, yo. And on that note, thank you guys for listening to our podcast this week. Thank you for checking in with us. If you want to follow us on Instagram, you can at mudstudsskullcaps. If you have questions or any topics you want us to discuss, you can send us emails at mudstudsskullcaps@gmail.com.
And you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts that lets others know we're a podcast worth listening to. And go ahead and subscribe. That subscription button is actually really important as well. So hit that, leave a review, and have a good ride.
Remember, guys, to stay safe, stay classy, and stay in the saddle. Bye.